Patrons and listeners. This is Stuart Yoshida, host of the OokTown Podcast. We are live broadcasting on Google, YouTube. Welcome. I will be. Let's see. I should check my Patreon fee. Uh-oh. We got an echo.
Echo.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh man, bummer. Sorry, that was me. Can you believe that?
I can believe that. I'm a very trusting person, so I believe you.
I had the window open. I don't know why, and I forgot, and it started broadcasting. So hey, at least we know we're on the air. I will go to my Patreon feed, see if anyone's there. Any patrons there?
I'm here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Welcome, patron. Let me before we get into the show, I want to give a couple shout outs. Renee, first of all, with the Spotlight Music ukulele group in Fort Collins. I think that's a recent one, but she's part of a ukulele group and she became a patron. And I saw her at the Wonderstruck. I met her there, which was a really great workshop, 2-day workshop that Danielle and Victor and Penny put together. Hopefully they'll do more. Renee, so thank you, welcome, and maybe we'll see you sometime at the Spotlight Music Ukulele Group. And the second shout out is for the Plymouth Ukulele Club. They just renamed themselves. We had a strumming workshop yesterday that I ran. It was so fun, fantastic. They all did some great arrangements on strumming. It was called Strums of a Different Color, learning how to use different strums to make arrangements for your songs. And they're also part of the Plymouth Ukulele Club, as I said, that is a neat group out of the Plymouth Congregational Church that we did a couple things. Oh, and finally, the Global Village Museum in Fort Collins. They allowed us to use their room, their conference room yesterday, because usually we meet at the church, but there was a CSU football game, and so the parking lot gets taken over. The room is available. However, getting a parking spot would be impossible, so we moved the workshop. So thanks to the Global Village Museum. And I think that's it. Doug, did you have any shout outs? Is Doug there? Doug, you're muted. I don't hear. Doug, why are you muted?
Yeah, he's muted.
Muted? Or are you
I've got so many computers going on. It's all crazy. But of course, just the wonderful people that come to the Denver Ute community. It was fantastic to see everybody yesterday, and of course, my twin brother Dave. Hey, good to see you, Dave.
Yeah, was he out here? Is he out here?
Oh no, he's in California watching.
Oh,
watching
okay.
Online.
All right. Nice. All right. Will, let's bring on our guests here. First guest I want to bring on is Lucy LaForge of Lucy and Lemaire.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. We get now. Lucy is. I'm gonna mute. I think it's. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Victoria. Lucy is not. You don't see the video for her, but that's okay. If you do want to go see a video of her, you should. I will put links in the show notes. She's got a bunch of great songs and videos. Really well done videos. I think that's one of the highlights, I would say, of what you do. And Lucy, you just came back from a huge tour of Europe, right?
I did, yeah. I'm back in California now, but we just did our first European tour.
Wow, that's awesome. How did you swing that? Did you have people help you out in terms of the booking, or did you do that all yourself?
I did most of it myself, but I definitely reached out to pretty much anyone I knew who was in Europe or had been to Europe. I asked a lot of different people for advice on where to go, how to go about it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's just I know artists like you, and I'm sure Victoria, I know you've done that too, but just blows my mind. Just, go off and go to Europe and we'll do a tour. Very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of Victoria, I want to welcome back Victoria Vox,
Thank you.
who is out there, so kindly joined us, even though she was on vacation in San Diego.
I never take vacation too.
Oh, I'm sorry. What
Oh, no,
are you?
no, it isn't big. I mean, it was just a friend is visiting. She's on her way to Mexico,
Uh-huh.
and from Chicago. And then her friend from Chicago happened to be here for a wine and food festival. And then I just was coming down to see them. And it was just kind of a girls' night in San Diego.
Nice. See, and this is cool because this whole show is going to be girl power. And we're going to focus in on what's happening on the female artists on the ukulele circuit, or just in general. And I'm not an expert, so I'm going to rely on Victoria and Lucy to help me out here. All right. Well, we will jump in. I guess with on that theme of girl power, how can we just in general, male or female, support female artists, either on the ukulele circuit, which we'll talk about a little bit, or just in general? Anything that comes to mind?
Cricket.
I think just even bringing up the question is super supportive.
Yeah. Okay. I think just if we see, for myself, if I see, hey, we need more diversity, I would bring that up. On the ukulele circuit, I don't know. It seems okay in terms of the balance. I just wonder more about, is the pay equitable? I don't know. But my perception, and it's just a perception, I've not done a scientific study, is that there's a pretty good mix of women on the ukulele circuit. What do you guys think?
I'd say so. I'd say it's definitely both. I mean, you see people like Jake who are kind of headlining,
Right.
and doing these really big gigs, and then you see a lot of female YouTubers have had some success. I don't know if they've had it to that extent.
Yeah. What about you, Victoria?
I think, do you mean more of ukulele festival circuit or just performance in general? Because it is different.
It's true. Well, how about just going through both? Because I'm only familiar mainly with the ukulele circuit, ukulele festival circuit. I don't know, just traveling artists around the country.
Of a lot of, they're really other outside of Jake, and his music isn't really mainstream because he doesn't sing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really, I mean, I can't really think of any only ukulele player artists that are mainstream. And Jake's probably the closest to, as far as performing at larger venues. And then it brings you down. So I just don't think there are any. I mean, I love Meryl Garbus from Tune Yards, but she also plays drums and sings and, maybe plays ukulele for a couple songs, or there may be, maybe Jason Mraz plays a ukulele for a couple songs, maybe one song, if that. But as far as strictly ukulele player artists, there's not that many.
Right. Yeah.
Where that's all they do.
Right.
And then on the ukulele circuit, I feel that I feel like it is more male dominated. And I mean, I do notice when I see festival lineups, and I'll be like, oh, there's the one girl, or maybe there's not a girl at all. But then there are sometimes festivals where they do have more women, and maybe they're making it more of a girl thing. So that's just my perception of it.
That's the thing about a girl thing. Yeah, I think when they.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. I think it's delayed a little bit. I was just saying, when they do have a lot of female artists, they do make it a girl thing, and there's always a label of, oh, it's a girl themed kind of thing, as opposed to just having more female artists.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly,
And
you
I
know, we
think
can.
that's normal. Like in just, I mean, it's having a music event and trying to tap into some sort of niche. Because I find as a ukulele artist, if when they're, you know, if it's a regular club, a non-ukulele event, and then they're like, oh, well, we'll just get a couple other people to open for you that also play ukulele, and then we'll make it a ukulele night. And it's like kind of like, that's not exactly what I had in mind, but so I'm just
Right. Oh, interesting. You know, we could
this banjo player, or we're going to put you with this other person because it's music. So it's
well, so we
but
have
it is the thing that, okay, now I'm a girl, and then I'm out, then they have more girls on the bill, and they're like, okay, we're going to make it a girls night.
Yep.
you know, we could, and so certainly, you know, to the extent that I know of the contacts at these ukulele festivals, we can just suggest more, because, you know, I just think there are so many great female singer-songwriters or performers in general on ukulele. In fact, you know, sometimes I feel like, wow, 2/3 of my guests are female artists for some reason. I got to look back, but it just seems that way sometimes. So I thought, wow, there's got to be a lot of them, and they got to be, but maybe not. Maybe they're not, you know, being invited as often as they should.
I think it boils down to what the directors of the festival are into, or and there's some people who are drawn towards a female voice, towards female artists, and that's what they like to listen to. And then there's other people that probably don't care for it as much, and or just don't really think anything of it, or so I think it boils down to personal taste of the director of the festival.
Yeah.
And what kind of music they're into, you know, whether it's old timey, or is it swing, is it a jazzy kind of thing, or is it like Hapa Haole, or is it more traditional Hawaiian? And you probably in general can find, like, I'm gonna guess that, I mean, for as far as like you've got Brittany and Taimane for like the Hawaiian players. Brittany is definitely more jazz, Taimani's more the flamenco.
Yeah, you're right.
That, you know, it's kind of like, I think the female singer songwriter on the ukulele, it's very similar music style. It's, you know, it's kind of like cute pop, acoustic, but, you know, and then there's Del Rey, who definitely has her own, you know, niche as far as like the swing, finger picking, fast stuff. But you probably, like, if you're looking for a Hawaiian ukulele player, there's probably more men to pick from.
Yeah, definitely for Hawaiian. Yeah, I would say so. There's not really, I can't think of a traditional Hawaiian ukulele player. Oh no, wait, of course there's
but I know who you're thinking of.
I know, she's been on the show. Right, begins with an R.
Riatea.
Riatea, right? Riatea.
Right.
Yeah. Oh. We pulled that one out. Yeah, but other than her, you're right. There's not many.
And for her website, you can go to the show notes, and there you can read all about Riatea. And go back to her episode on the OokTown Podcast.
Which I'm sure Doug is putting together for me. Lucy, so what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't.
Oh, I was going to say that I think, you know, the artists that we do know about, it's the on the ukulele circuit, that each of the artists has a very specific style or genre, or something that they do that makes them different. And I think that that's needed no matter what kind of instrument you play or what kind of music you're in. It's like, what do you do that is different?
Yeah, definitely.
Alone is not something that's going to set you, that it's not enough to set you aside from all the other players. It's like, okay, yeah, you're a girl, but what else are you bringing to the table that's like of entertainment value?
I definitely, and I think, you know, for any artist, you got to have some cred, something to make it stand out. I had a thought here, but maybe I'll just read my notes here.
And also a YouTube performance can be very different than a live performance and performing a concert. And there's some really amazing YouTube performers and YouTube personalities that have, you know, millions of viewers and followers, but then they've never performed a real concert in their life, and they don't know how to they don't know how to entertain in a live setting. It's
true.
It's different. And then you get somebody like that who maybe has a big name on YouTube come to a festival, and it's going to be probably a bit of a letdown to the attendees and the booker, because it's like, well, this isn't what we thought she was, or he, you know.
Yeah, which I think is great. That's, you know, at the Wonderstruck, which was on performing and songwriting that Danielle and Victor and Penny did. There was a performer there, very young. She was like 15 or 16. We talked about in the last podcast. When she started performing, we were just like blown away. But I could also tell that she's really new, and so I think all of the advice that they were giving at that workshop was like gold. It's like, yes, this is how you gotta, you know, this is how you get up on stage. You gotta have think about what you're gonna say, how to introduce a song, how to react, wait. There's all these little things that was like, this is what people need. Like if you're going from YouTube to performing, this was gold that they were doing. And
I mean, nothing beats experience.
That's true.
You know, it's like someone's like, well, how do you get good at performing? It's like, well, go out and play 200 shows in a year.
Yeah.
And you'll be great.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Like, you can't not improve. Like,
yes.
What do you say? Well, figure it out.
Right. There is one mainstream ukulele player, and I can't remember her name. She was on
Grace Vanderwall.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty. And
yeah,
pretty
but she doesn't
only
really
one.
play. I'm sorry, Grace. She does play the ukulele,
right.
but she also, she's a pop artist in that she's. I mean, a lot of the songs have been co-written with her, kind of for her.
Right. Oh yeah.
So they come from her ideas. But there's songs where she's just dancing around and skipping around on stage, and she's, she has a ukulele for like a couple songs.
Sure.
And so even though she maybe have written them with the uke, or somebody wrote it on a ukulele, it's not, it's definitely like I think there is a mainstream thing with the ukulele of like just having a ukulele be played for the entire concert. Like,
that's true to an extent, but I mean, I what I like is that at least she's embracing it, because she's doing these advertisements for Fender, and sure, she gets money to endorse it, but that she's embracing that, and for better or worse, it's pretty much when you're an entertainer, like just think of any big artist. Taylor Swift, yeah, she plays the piano and guitar, but basically she's dancing around most of the time. You know what I mean? So, and I couldn't tell you what her Taylor Swift's main instrument was, but Grace Vanderwall, I mean, at least it identifies for me. I remember she was at that young artist playing the ukulele and all by herself. And
we identify it with because of the one, the America's Got Talent show.
Right.
And so it's not that as an artist, as a whole, like we've listened to her album as an artist, we're hearing like one song that she played on a ukulele, and that went viral.
Right.
Or won the show. And so it is that the public wants to be able to like pigeonhole all the artists of like, well, this person does that. And it was just kind of the thing like, oh, the young girl with the ukulele.
Right.
Even though she probably doesn't really play ukulele that much.
Go ahead, Lucy.
I was just going to say, because I sell ukuleles, part-time. I also teach ukulele lessons. I've had just countless young girls come in within the last year, and they're all just, they're not like massive fans of Grace Vanderwall, but they all think that she's just so cool, and they come and say, I want to learn this one song that she, just put out, and it's always on ukulele. And so a lot of kids have started playing ukulele just because of that one viral video.
Right. And maybe that's the best thing that she's done is, whether or not.
I think if she really was, though, about the ukulele and its sound, like the woman backing her up on NPR Tiny Desk concert, who's playing guitar while Grace is just singing, that woman should be playing a ukulele. If it was really about the sound and the instrument and that being an integral part to her music, you would think that her accompaniment would have a ukulele.
And here's where I
That's
think
just
that
how I feel about it.
Right. And here's where I think that it's part of the management that's doing that, because my impression is, I'm going to take it at face value. When she talked about how she composed the songs, a couple of the songs that I really like, she said, yeah, here's how I did it. I started off on the ukulele, and I came up with this idea, and here was the thing I was thinking of. And then, obviously after that, it was taken and when the producer gets a hold of it, he or she is, oh yeah, but we need to add in strings and synths and, a drum sequence here. And, by the time it's released, yeah, it sounds great, but maybe the ukulele is lost from the original composition of the song. And maybe that's just the name of the game. I don't know. Because I think Jason Mraz does embrace his instrument, which is guitar, and he's an amazing guitarist, right? And I don't know if we have that many mainstream artists who are both amazing on an instrument, and that's what they play. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think. I guess Sting, he plays bass, and yeah, he pretty much plays bass. I don't know. Anyway. So we
speculate.
we still have a ways to go, I think. What about pay gap? Do you think that's something that it still needs to be worked on?
I honestly have no idea. Because I don't think when I perform, I don't think people say, oh, ukulele player, and kind of gauge what I make off of shows for that. It's more, I play with the full band, and
right.
It's kind of a separate thing. So I'm not sure. Maybe Victoria can speak to that.
I'm really sorry. I missed the question. The computer cut out.
Oh, the pay gap.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all my contracts are confidential, and I know that they're confidential, between performers, and everybody has their own requests and requirements. I know some, I will say a lot of the Hawaiian performers will bring, it's in the contract to that their spouse or merch person it's like we are both flown in,
right?
And it makes it hikes up the expenses for the festival, and because they need their wife there or their best friend or whatever, and it's just everybody has their own things that they need, whether travel's included or accommodations, or whether it's, and if it's local for somebody versus having to travel far away, or
right. And
and the level of exposure
on the individual basis is really hard because of all the confidentiality, and I understand that. I think as much controversy as it created, when Pamplemousse total up their tour, and they said, here's how much money we made, and everyone was shocked because it's like, wow, you didn't net really all that much.
But they did that for tax purposes.
Meaning what? I'm not sure.
Well, the more money that you're not making, the less taxes you would pay. So if they had taken expense cuts, they could have, as far as like,
right.
There's things that they did not have to spend money on that they did, but they could, to lower their tax. There's also another YouTube video by another video blogger who kind of breaks down and been just like, actually, it's because of taxes. So they were actually really smart by doing that.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like a poor us, we don't make any money on the road. It's like, well, you just totally lived it up for your tour, and
Yeah, well,
you've
I
got
mean,
gear and you've got all this stuff that is totally deductible.
absolutely. And then, in fact, they said part of our strategy was to get all the capital equipment, and then, you can expense it basically on the tour by, quote, living it up. But I guess the point there is that they showed the bottom line in terms of here's our expenses and here's our income. And yes, you can, it's pretty easy to do the math. Oh yeah, if you didn't all have rooms at a hotel, or, you bunk together, or you whatever, right? You can, but at least there is transparency in that you can, in fact, there was no secret about what they were doing, which I liked. Because then, as I'm a spreadsheet jockey, I can put all those numbers in and figure it out pretty easily. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh gosh, it's how much money did they really make? No, I can see it right there. They made that much money. They could have saved. They could have actually netted a whole bunch more, good or bad. And hey, good on them. They expensed a lot of stuff. I mean, that's what we all try and do, right? So.
Oh yeah, it's the name of the game of being self-employed, and
absolutely,
they get us in other ways. So.
Right. And so talk to Gerald Ross. He goes, yeah, I expense my chewing gum when I go because it was on,
business expense.
I don't know. Well, but the point being that, yeah, if he's going out here and it's a legitimate expense, he's going to track it. And so good on you. But I guess from what my point was that if we had that more transparency, at least we could maybe tell, is there an actual pay gap or not? I suspect there probably still is,
I don't. I think on the ukulele circuit, as far as ukulele festivals, I don't think so.
Oh, that's good.
I feel that the directors, they kind of go into hosting their festival with a budget in mind,
right.
and it's not so much male versus female. I think it's more of like name recognition, or the ability of the performer, or the experience they've had of like how are they as a teacher, and also basically breaking down, like I spoke with like James.
Oh, we're losing you. Oh,
festival, a performance costs say $300, and then a workshop is $250 per workshop if you want 3 workshops, but I will only do maximum 3 things per day, and then there's travel and whatever on top of that.
Right.
But there might be, it's kind of like a set rate. Yeah. And I do think that there's I think there's a reasonable amount to ask for, ukulele festivals. And then there's, but then there's also a lot of festivals that I think try to, in a sense, lowball artists. And I unfortunately feel that there's enough of those artists who will take the lowball offers that it ends up hurting the other artists. And it's not such a male female issue. It's just as much of are you taking that lower rate?
Right. Yeah. And as
in general right now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Lucy. What was that in general?
Oh, I was just saying that's the whole music industry in general right now. Is there's so many artists, like living in LA, so many bands don't get paid because the venues have simply said, okay, we have too many bands, who's going to play for free?
Oh, but the exposure that you get is just fantastic.
Value. Yeah.
Doug, you've heard that too many.
All the French fries you can eat.
Oh, but, yeah.
We'll give you drink tickets or something.
Yeah, we'll give you drink.
Oh, and anymore, it's not, oh, you can drink at the bar. It's, oh, here are your 2 drink tickets. And make sure that you bus a table as you go up to the stage.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It is hard. And, we, as a musician who has a day job, I still encourage all the musicians, like, don't take free stuff where they say, here, we'll give you $25 for the whole band. And, and it used to be free drinks. I think now they're just like, and all the water you can drink now.
Especially if it's like a benefit concert and they're like, but it's a benefit concert and you should play for free. And it's like, well, you're having it catered, right?
Right.
And you're Like you have security, right?
The sound
And so
engineer is going to get
Yeah.
paid. The
Yeah.
sound guy doesn't come for free.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's more it's a little bit of education, I think, of like telling them just like, no, it's worth something. My time and my energy to get myself here is worth something.
Right.
But that's, you know, that is hard when there are people that are accepting, you know, it's kind of like, why do we have everything made in China? Because they will do it for cheaper.
Yeah. And
so we send it to China, you know, so it's kind of, but then
it is market driven, but and you know, it is about whether or not artists can what they think they can get. I think the artists starting off are the ones that are more easily convinced to do that. And I think as you get more and more experience, you go, oh, wait a minute, this is not helping me out because, you know, I may or may not hit it big meaning I'm putting in quotes because, you know, hey, making a living is really what it's about, right? Whether or not I get world famous and make billions of dollars, that's besides the point. I want to be an artist to whatever extent I'm playing out, and then, you know, make a living off of this, I think is what a lot of people need to realize.
And I think it's like any job, you know, you start out entry level and
we lost you.
Maybe $25 was put into the, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you there? You know, that it's a job and you start at a minimum wage. And after you do that for a while and you're just like, you know what, I'm worth more than this. And then you ask for more money and you get it. And then maybe some people I've had some really great mentors and fans or whatever who maybe hired me for something and they're just like, Victoria, you need to be asking more. And I'm just like, really? I'm just like, what if they say no? And they're like, well, then they say no. Or then say like, you can always add like in your email, like, if this is out of your budget, let me know where you're at. Yeah,
I turned out definitely, and it's a lot easier for me because I have a day job, but I definitely think that is the right approach because I've quoted shows for people to come by and they're going, well, yeah, that's not in the budget. I'm going, well, I can recommend someone else.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think it is really hard as a musician in general to, you know, if someone's saying, well, here's, you know, X amount of small money, it's like, well, it's like, do you want the job or not? And do you take it? And do you say, okay, that's acceptable? Or do you stand your ground and say, just like, you know what, and there is a point where I started, you know, saying to some people, just like, for that amount of money, I would rather stay home because it's not, you know,
you'll break
the
even.
$1 an hour I'm about to make to do that. It's just not worth it.
Right.
I remember in college, I was studying with a guy who said, yeah, I've decided I'm not doing set design for free because he was in all of the community theaters around Denver. And I was like, oh, but it's the art. And then it didn't take too terribly long before I was like, oh, it's the art, but it's the art that pays my Volkswagen money. So, you know, but you know, there is that time in, I think, everybody's professional career where you do have, like you said, Victoria, you do have to take those jobs where you're working at the place that the bonuses that you get to smoke while you're running lights. Oh, I smoked 3 packs a night when I was working there. It was terrible. That was a long time ago. But you know, it's like, oh, well, you know, you can come down and do all this arty stuff where they're, you know, throwing paint at each other. And it's like, and it didn't make any sense to me, but I was running lights for a design that I had done. And I was like, oh, look at that. You can't see what they're doing, but it's art. Woo! But then like figuring out where that art and where, oh, well, I'll do corporate because the catering is so much better at corporate events than the rock and roll, the sweaty meat and cheese trade, the backstage. You know, it's I would basically, that was a long way of saying, yes, I absolutely agree with you.
And, you know, and when you are starting out, you're not necessarily worth top dollar. And so it's also realizing just like, I'm just getting going, therefore I can't ask for this absurd amount of money. But then, you know, it's just, I think it's always just you're trying to figure it out. But I mean, I would hope in the performance world that there would not be a difference in pay scale between male and female. It's like, if you're a great trombone player, a great backup singer, a great guitar player, you're paid per gig for whatever job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I can't imagine like Carrie Underwood paying the guys backing her up more than the women, or, you know.
I would love to hear about that if they've, you know, in the
I think it's like a Nashville, like as far as like with country, you know, like there's a union and you are paid. I mean, it is a flat fee per gig. And if you are the band leader, you make a little bit extra, but then your job is to herd cats before the show and get everybody to their dressing rooms or whatnot, or lead rehearsals. Yeah. But I do think it is very, it's more of like, are you worth as the player? Did you get the job?
Well, I think you as you, Victoria, and Lucy as band leaders or leaders of your destiny, I think is good, because that really sets a great example for other people to say, you know, other up and coming young artists, female artists, going, yeah, I can do this. Look at them. They're doing their thing, and you know, I mean, you know, going over to Europe, I think you both have done European tours, and that's like pretty amazing, right? So, and hopefully people recognize that.
I think it's, you know, it boils down in any creative job. It's, you know, are you doing what you love? And it's figuring out how to do what you love, but then also to make it work financially. And so there is you know, you do have to look at just like, how am I going to make ends meet? If I do book this tour, this is what I need to bring in financially. And if it doesn't work, then either do you say, well, hey, I'm going, it's more for vacation and it's going to be fun, and at least I'll get my feet in the door at some places, and you take it as a loss.
Right.
Or do you say, okay, well then I'm not doing that, or I'm not ready for that, you know? So it's,
yeah, if you can get a vacation out of it, like maybe Mike Hine will invite us all to Bermuda, and that might be all right if I can get that gig. Hey, Mike, did you hear me? Actually, I think seriously, I think Mike Hine is trying to get a ukulele festival together in Bermuda, which would be fantastic.
That'd be crazy.
Well, then you take a look at like Adam Sandler, who started making only movies where he can go to places where it's awesome to work, and then make fart jokes.
Is that for real?
Well, like the Grown Ups movies were like, he was pretty open about how it was really great to hang out with David Spade and all these people that he's known forever, and then they kind of shoot a movie around them all hanging out, and and it kind of shows. But you know, I don't know. He's making stuff, so what am I to, you know?
All right. Hey, I'm gonna take a break now. And before I do that, I just want to say welcome back to the show, Lucy. Great to have you back. What's happening with you? What have you been doing?
Well, I was in Europe for 6 weeks, and then I just got back to LA, and I'm wrapping up my next EP, and also trying to decide, you know, where do I want to be playing in 2019, and planning out. I've been looking at ukulele festivals a lot more, and kind of just where I want to go. Yeah.
Let's talk, and we'll talk about that in the second part of the show. We want to give Lucy all the advice we can, so she'll be at the Denver Ukulele Festival one of these days.
Definitely.
All right, so you got an EP coming out. Please send it to Doug and I, and we will include it in the show notes.
Oh, absolutely.
And do you still have the blue hair? Because I was following you on Twitter, and when you're in Europe.
Yes, I'm so sad I can't figure out the video on this, because it's so blue today. It's 16 inches shorter. I donated it again, so I've got this pixie fairy blue hair, And
Cool. So you donated your hair too. That is awesome. Where do you donate that to?
I used to do Locks of Love. They've gotten some criticism. So I actually I go back and forth. I do Wigs for Kids for the last couple months I've done.
I don't know if we can see this here. There's a
yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
from Instagram.
So you
I
still
wanted
have,
to see. I'm like, I
your
gotta
hair
see
then.
this.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry we don't have video today. Next time we'll get you on. Yeah, if you come on the show a couple more times, I need some more patrons. But if you need a video camera, the Logitech one is a good one. It's what I got.
Well,
Yeah,
I have a camera in my laptop. I'm just
it's just not behaving today for whatever reason.
No, but I will. I'm gonna live stream the second half of the show on Instagram. I'll do that.
Okay, cool. Very
in.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you back on, and we're going to talk about the ukulele circuit and how to get on it for as much as we know about it. And Victoria Vox is back on the show too, and she is also doing a is it a mouth trumpet holiday special album?
It is a Very Merry Mouth Trumpets Christmas
Nice
card that also is a CD inside the card.
Yeah.
And this is actually my second Christmas card CD that I've done. And basically, the first one was like, how do I get my music into your friends' homes? You're going to give them a Christmas card. Why don't you give them a Christmas card with some Christmas music in the card? So I had 4 original Christmas songs that I wrote that were part of the Victoria Vox holiday EP. And you could actually mail it, seal it, and mail it with the CD in it. And but this will be more of a DVD size wallet with then the CD inside. But it's the Very Merry Mouth Trumpet of go on, blow your own horn this season.
It's a DVD also?
No, it's a DVD wallet. So it's more of like a 5x7 card stock with the CD.
So it's more rectangular instead of square.
Yeah, so less square. So it's more of like it's more legit card. And it will look like a holiday card. It just happens to have a disc inside, which will be some Christmas classics mouth trumpeted.
Very cool. Well,
and
there you go.
That is a great picture right there.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's that's awesome.
My friend Scott took that picture, and that's the photo that actually made it into the Wall Street Journal when they did an article on the unlikely return of the lost art of the mouth trumpet. So that photo was on page A8.
When was that?
That was in January 2015.
Okay, so this was a while ago. Yeah, I remember that was you were
And then the Jay Leno show thing, that was on 2009. Which if you get your way over to the Kickstarter page for Victoria Vox Mouth Trumpet Christmas thing, you can, at the end of the video, is a little snippet from the Jay Leno show.
Wow. So you got, this is like, you've been a celebrity that way twice.
And it's a fully just for fun project, kind of a fun, crazy idea that I had. And it's just, the funding basically covers the expenses to do it. I'm not looking to make millions off of my mouth trumpet, but it's just really fun. And we've been having a good time putting the music together. And we'll see if we get funded on Friday. And if we do, we'll go to print. And then everybody gets Christmas cards.
Very cool. Well, so there's a Kickstarter, is that right?
Yeah.
Have you sent it to me already?
I don't know. But if you miss the Kickstarter, and we're like $500 short and 5 days of being funded. So we're really close.
Oh man.
I have a feeling I have the best fans ever and people who support me in my music. And so I know they're going to come through, and they always do. It's amazing. It's always, it's so moving, and I feel so lucky to have people that appreciate what I do. But so after the 23rd, it'll go, I will be selling the cards on my website.
Cool.
As well, like in the boutique. So then you could order 1 to 10 cards to send to your friends.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. And you know, for people who are you know, it's always hard to get Christmas presents for people, especially if you know, just don't, you're not that close to them. And here's a great way to support an artist and also have a great greeting card. Wow, cool.
Yeah, it's just a fun little thing, and you know, got to keep it life interesting.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely. Well, you know, this is the time of the show where I ask everyone to become a patron, and thank you so much for the people who have been supporting me. And Patreon has helped me spread the love of ukulele, to send mics to people who need it. If Lucy needs a mic, or Victoria, you've been on the show enough, Victoria. You already have nice mics though, so it's not
I'm
really.
just using my laptop.
Oh, I'm talking about
just-
when you're at home though. You know, when you're at your.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do have a couple different. I mean, they're pretty much USB mics.
Yeah.
I do have like a condenser mic, but I don't set it up for something like this.
Mhm.
You know, be for a glorified demo or something.
No, but the USB mics work great. So if
Yeah.
you have one of those for podcasting, it's awesome. But if you don't, and you're a regular on the show, I get to send you one of those. When we do have funding, I've been oh, what the heck am I paying off now? But there's a bunch of expenses I had for my business that I still have to pay off. But anyway, but it helps out any little amount that you can do. So become a patron. And what would also help me out, maybe just as much or more, is that you share the podcast and say, hey, if you like ukulele or just interesting podcasts, please listen to the OokTown Podcast, ooktwn.com/podcast. And we have, this is our 73rd show, not including a couple special interview ones. And I hear a lot from people that, you know, when they're just starting to listen to it, that they're learning so much about ukulele, and hopefully lots more in general. And that's what I love. So please keep sharing the ukulele love and this podcast. Tell people about it. And I'm making a special request out. I am in the process of revamping my website, and in part of that, I want to get some new graphics. So if there are any graphic artists out there that are ukulele oriented and want to work with me on that, let me know what you would charge.
Yeah, because the exposure is going to be awesome.
I'm like, I'm pretty good in Photoshop. What do you need?
Is that right? You want to do my redo my
What do you need? A logo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I can help you out too. All of my graphics are all robot centric.
Yeah, I know.
But you know,
robots and dinosaurs. I know you, Doug. Robots and dinosaurs, and that's about it.
So, like, are you wanting animation?
No, please don't get Doug involved in this again with that. We're gonna go off the rails more than we usually do.
You know, yeah, there's one thing, you know, as far as I mean, anybody will take your money, but it's always you know, it's amazing, like if you just put it out there and saying just like, hey, I need help with this, I need help with my website, I need help with that. There's always gonna be people that be like, I can do that, easy peasy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah, so. In lieu of becoming a patron, that's all I need. Because my website is getting really, I mean, you know.
I'll check it out and I'll see what I can do.
All right, because yeah, don't laugh too hard. All right, okay. No, I think it's okay, but it's just kind of getting old, and I really need to revamp it and streamline it. And you know, I see you guys like, and especially like Danielle and Lucy and Victoria. You know, I see your websites and I feel shamed.
I do Squarespace and I always have a friend.
Right. See, that's the other thing. I want to get go on a hosted website. I'm tired of doing my own administration.
Yeah, there's so many different websites that are template based that it's pretty much drag and drop. And
I know.
Depending what level you're at of like how much customization you can do.
Mm-hmm.
one of the one that I used forever was called verb.com, VIRB.com.
Oh, really?
And it's
Okay.
$10 a month, all included. And it's for some reason, it's been kind of known as to be the more difficult of template-based sites to use, but that was the one that I started on. So I'm just like, when I moved over to Bandzoogle, I was like, I don't get this. This is really frustrating. But it is nice because you can just, kind of choose from a style of the page, and then you just start plugging in photos and links, and in a pretty short time you could have a great website.
And the other thing is that I don't have many pictures of myself, which is a real bummer. That's the other thing.
We'll arrange the photographer.
I know. Anyone want to be a photographer here? Victoria,
all the
Lucy?
food you can eat while you're shooting. It's great.
All right.
Well, if you got a new iPhone, it has that new portrait setting.
I saw that. I didn't know what that was for. Is that?
I think it kind of blurs your background and makes you pop, and it looks all professional.
Right, because it does a depth of field kind of thing automatically. I think you have to have the expensive one for that, though.
It's like the big screen.
Yeah.
Can't fit that in your back pocket.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, anyway, thanks so much to my patrons and listeners. Keep supporting. Please, if you enjoy the show, consider becoming a patron. And also, regardless, spread the word about the podcast, OokTown.com/podcast, or search for us on iTunes, OOKTOWN. Doug, did I do good today?
Go
ahead,
no,
Doug.
you did good. I have a couple of things. Number one, Lucy,
Absolutely.
was it wigsforkids.org that you said? Because my daughter has her hair down to here, and she was getting ready to donate it, but
cool.
we haven't done that before, and so we're when you said that, I'm like,
oh yeah, write it down. There's a lot now, which is really great. But Wigs for Kids was the most recent one, and then Locks of Love is still great. It's just I think there was a misconception that the hair was being given away freely to only kids with cancer, but a lot of kids lose hair to other things and random diseases, and you can read on their website where it actually goes. But there's just a lot of different reviews and things like that to take into consideration.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, and we had Denver Youth Community had our food songs meeting yesterday, and it was super fun. And it was. And then next month, super awesome. We have our holiday songs, which we already have some people that are. Somebody's looking for an Arbor Day song to go for our holiday extravaganza. And then a 4th of July song is going to be awesome. It's all holidays. We're very inclusive.
Excellent. Kwanzaa, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the things I hadn't really actually looked at very closely, but the Denver Uke Fest in the last several years has been very good on their inclusion of women, and because we had Tamane, and now I've closed all the windows down.
That's why I get the impression that this is probably where I get the impression is because I think the Denver Ukulele Festival, I could be wrong, seems to have a lot of women artists. Victoria's been there several times. We've had Danielle the Sandwich. We have Victor and Penny.
The Leftover Cuties.
Cuties. And we just love those guys. And then we had Sarah Mizell and Kathy Fink and Marcy Markser. And then we've had Del Rey a couple times. She is awesome.
Yeah.
But I think because as Victoria was saying, because the Denver Uke Fest ends up being a really eclectic mix of all kinds of different things. You can get that folk and the Hawaiian and modern and all kinds of things in between.
We should ask Mary Agnes Crow, who's also a patron and one of the organizers for the Grand Northern Ukulele Festival. We can talk to her about that sometime. And speaking of ukulele festivals, this second half of the show, we want to talk about, or at least I want to, in terms of how do you get on the ukulele festival? Because as Lucy mentioned, she's thinking about what she wants to do for this coming year. So what would you like to get out of the touring, especially on the ukulele festival, Lucy?
Yeah, well, I remember the first time I had talked to you on the podcast, I really had no idea there was a ukulele festival circuit, and I thought that was so cool. I think we were with Sarah and Craig talking about it, and I just think it's the coolest thing. But I wasn't sure if I would be able to fit on the. There's so many different type of ukulele lineups, kind of like Victoria was saying. There's the
Right.
traditional one. There's also.
Or are you really tall or something? Because are you worried about fitting on the stage?
No, I think I'm seeing more of as like an indie pop band as opposed to a ukulele artist, I guess.
Yeah, I think my opinion is that we need more of that, because we do have a lot of great artists. I love it when like Taimani comes and she has her whole band and they have this whole show,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was great that Jake was bringing on I think a percussionist and a bass player. So and there's different sizes of festivals. So Victoria's probably more knowledgeable in that area. So when you say so Lucy, when you say more band pop, would you consider doing also some solo, or just one or two, having a maybe percussionist or something?
Oh, definitely. I do a lot of solo shows with baritone ukulele mostly, and then sometimes with the soprano. But
Okay.
the whole European tour was me with a baritone ukulele and a cajon player.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fun and acoustic and stripped down, and that way it was really easy to interact with the crowd as well. So we do a lot of group participation stuff throughout our songs.
Oh, I love that. All right. Well, Victoria, what do you think?
Well, I think so. Just hearing you talk about what you do now, I think that you could definitely push the angle of I play the baritone, because I don't think that I play the baritone for like a couple songs if I decide to bring it. But to do strictly baritone and be like, I play baritone ukulele, and have that be within the ukulele niche, to have that be your niche, would be a good angle to take. But the other hand is, so there's two kinds of ukulele festivals or events. One would be like a concert and it's performance only. But the majority of the festivals have some sort of education component, being that there are workshops, or it might be a straight up camp where it is about education, and you may get along with all of the can you hear me now?
Yep.
So like, even if it's like a camp, you might have 15 to 20 minutes to perform, as do all the other performer teachers, but it's not about performance. So it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm a great performer, but to maybe kind of if you are wanting to really go after ukulele festivals, I would put together like a page on your website that says, these are workshops that I offer, and have descriptions for each of those workshops.
Okay.
And then if you're coming at it from the baritone, you could say, well, I'm teaching baritone, but then you have the honest truth is there are a lot fewer baritone ukulele players attending the festivals. So your workshop class is going to maybe be 3 or 4 people, which in the director's eye is not worth you bringing you in for the festival. So you really have to think about just kind of like, what are you bringing to the event, and what can you offer, and what is that worth?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So that's what my suggestion is kind of, and there are some ukulele performers who I feel are definitely and they do very well on the ukulele circuit because they are more educational driven, and it is about their classes and the and it's less about the performance. And unfortunately, that's what is driving a lot of the festivals.
You mean the educational part?
The ability to give a workshop.
Oh, right.
And so it's not, you could be the most amazing performer, but if you can't do a workshop, and this is just based on the average smaller to medium-sized festival. When you're bringing in artists like Jake and Taimani, who are very they're very showman type performers, exaggerated movements. It is a performance in its own thing, less of like a singer-songwriter artist. They would probably still just as easily be able to give any workshop possible, and would if asked to or needed to. So if you're coming in new, you kind of have to come at it from an angle of like, this is what I teach.
Right.
And at least if that can help get you in the door.
Definitely. I think I would love to do more like, do they offer like songwriting, or is it all ukulele technique?
Oh, they do all kinds of things, songwriting, performing.
Basically like put together a list of things that you can offer. Let them choose what it is they want. So even in my ukulele or my workshop descriptions downloadable page from my website, it's everywhere from like all different kinds of ukulele workshops to songwriting workshops to mouth trumpet workshop it's like, this is what I can do. And then let the director decide, well, okay, we've got these other performers coming and they do this. If we bring her in and she could do that, then they have a very, the directors are trying to make a very diverse festival, offering a lot of different things to a lot of different people to please the attendees. That's the ultimate goal.
That makes sense. Cool.
And we have I have some contacts, and who comes to mind is Ben Hassinger, because he does a lot of educational stuff, and I think he has a lot of great ideas. You may have been on a show with Ben, but if you're interested, I can definitely get you guys in contact with each other. You can ask him about this. I think he seems to be a good mentor in that respect. He really wants to develop artists, and also is very much in tune with that educational aspect of it. He does a Midwest Uke Camp and Mighty Uke Day, and a lot of it is the component of workshops. Because
people, they're paying to go to these festivals, but they want to play.
Yeah.
They want to play in groups. They want to learn something. It's not just about going. It's not like, kind of like a ukulele Woodstock where people are just going to, party and hear ukulele music. And the thing is too, with the teaching, really interestingly, this was the first time that any festival I've ever done did this. But Ben asked us as teacher artists if we would like to get the feedback from the students regarding the camp and our performance/workshops. And I thought, well, hey, sure, I'll listen to what people have got to say. And it was amazing, the extremes to like, Victoria's awesome, she was killer, like purge the other teachers, keep Victoria, to, oh my God, she was so unprepared. It was way too much information, way too fast, horrible teacher, loser, don't bring her back. And it's really, you're just like, I was reading these out loud to my husband and he was just dying laughing, especially at the comment when someone said she brought material to the class that I had never seen before. Oh my. I was like, I'm sorry, we're not doing a song that you already know.
That is an interesting.
But okay.
Well,
Anyways,
wait, you didn't do a class on "I'm Yours"? I mean,
you know, or
come
yeah, I
on
mean,
now.
I do a lot of original music, and so I teach through my songs. I have 100% full authorization to copy and print and distribute my music. So I do. That's, you know, a lot of what I do. But anyways, it just kind of goes to show you that even if you've had, like, I've had 12 years experience of teaching on the ukulele circuit, still people, you know, just kind of like, it's either it's too easy or it's not hard, you know, or it's too hard, or it's, you know, and it's really hard to like please everybody, even in a classroom of eager ukulele players.
My advice for that, because I've, you know, the educational part is what I really enjoy too. But in general, the rule of thumb is you take the worst on either side of the spectrum and you throw them out. Seriously, it's like people say, "Oh my gosh, you walk on water," which you do, Victoria. I know you do. Or, you know, you're the most horrible teacher I've ever had. You know, you throw those out. Those are like the outliers.
Yeah.
And it's really the ones more in the middle where you start to see the pattern of, oh, you know, it looks like people want more experiential on strumming, or, you know, some, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
the
those are
thing that
ones.
I got out of it was like, okay, I mean, I have a really fun groove workshop, which is basically, it's like crash course groove class.
Mm-hmm.
And I could easily break that down into like a 12-part class and like
Right.
going into each groove very specifically. And that would probably be more at the pace of the average attendee. You know, and I have a degree in songwriting and music. And so some people are just like, yeah, I read music. And then you start spitting out notes and they're like, I don't understand. You know, and so it's just hard to gauge kind of like where people are at and their speed. And
Well,
but
I
usually,
think,
you know, I try to at least be like, okay, at least bottom line, we're gonna try to have a good time.
right. That's the main
And that's
thing.
kind of my rule of thumb. It's like if we can just play our ukuleles and smile, you know, hey.
It's not broken into like beginner, intermediate.
Well, it is, but you always get players. Like I had at Ben's camp, it was partly my mistake in that the classes that he needed beginner classes. And so the classes that I gave to him as beginner classes really weren't beginner classes. Like once I started going, I was like, oh, this stuff is like not beginner. So I think there were beginners that are hoping that it was going to be a super beginner, but then there's always like, you could teach an intermediate class and there's that eager, determined beginner that's like, I can play these 3 chords, I'm an intermediate. And they show up.
You can't, yeah, that's
You
up to them.
You don't really you just have to. And so what Ben had suggested would be good, like for the teachers to maybe write in the description, like if you are attending this class, you should be able to play this chord progression at this speed without any problems. You know, and know these chords. And I have done that. Like you need to be able to play a B flat bar chord, or you know, at this tempo. And so there are things that we can do as teachers to be more clear about
that's actually
so that the student's not getting in over their head from the beginning.
Right. Those once you go into the bar chords, it's like, you know, you've reached that next plateau, which is the one of the demarcations, I would call it. So that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, so I think, you know, feedback in general is a really great idea, and I'm so glad that Ben is doing that. At all of my workshops that I've been doing, I try and hand out a feedback sheet. But it's you know, the comments are the most valuable, and it's helps guide you on the next one. And certainly, I think over time people have figured out, especially on the ukulele circuit, less is more, right? Because you have so limited time. I think the tendency is to try and pack a lot into a session, and really, you know, people can only take away 1 or 2 or maybe 3 real gems out of there, or real concepts out of there, and that's all you need to do. So you don't have to boil the ocean when you go in there. In my opinion, my workshops has evolved that way too. It's like, okay, so break it up into, you know, really basic strumming. Okay, now how do you add in different strums to make different arrangements? And oh, you want to do chord melody? I'll do one on that one just specifically.
And the other thing too that I try to emphasize when I am giving a workshop, and it's kind of like I'm showing you either a technique or a process, or, you know, it's not so much like I'm not going to teach you a song. Like, you can work on the song on your own time, but these are techniques that you can apply to any song. But also that I don't expect them to get it in the workshop. It's a workshop.
Right.
I'm giving them something that they can take away and work on further, you know, at home, instead of just giving them something that they've like, oh, they did it. Okay, great. Thanks for coming to my class. You succeeded. You know, it's kind of like, that's just how I teach. I think it's like, I mean, they'll get it in the class, but it's something that they can take home and apply it to totally other things. And I love when I get those emails from somebody just be like, oh my God, so I applied that hammer-on technique onto this other chord, and like wow. And I'm just like, that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah.
You know,
those are nice moments when you hear that.
Yeah,
later on,
you know, it's just like, awesome. You took something I was teaching and applied it to what you wanted to do, which is ultimately what they should be doing, in my opinion.
Cool. All right. Well, so definitely for the ukulele circuit, there is that portion of, I think that a lot of them where it is the workshop component and basically I also it's like interaction with the people who come there, who want to have fun, who want to play and, you know, but also interact with the artist. And I think
the directors love to see that. Sorry to interrupt. I've been to 2 festivals where there have been 2 very specific artists who I will not name, very either late completely to the performance because they wouldn't come to the festival and hang out with everybody, or just, you know, kind of disappear off to their hotel room in between the workshop and the concert, and just be very unavailable. And I think that that's why people go, because they, you know, the directors are making the artists accessible to the attendees, and there's jams and even lunchtime, and just you can go and talk to somebody and get to know them as a person instead of they're just an attendee.
Yeah, and it is that interaction. Go ahead, Lucy.
Well, it just sounds a lot. I mean, I think your standard music festival, the artists are completely divided from the attendees. And so I think that's what's so special about the ukulele. It's more like, I don't know, it is more like a camp where you're actually talking to all these other people who love ukulele. And I think it sounds, from what it sounds like, is the performance actually comes more secondary.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have talent, and I've seen you enough, Lucy. You don't have to worry about that. But it is that other aspect of it, of, you know, wanting to be accessible and interact with them. You know, I love it that when James Hill comes, I can, you know, have lunch with him and he'll talk to me, you know, and he doesn't just go off and find another artist and sit with them, right? Although Victoria pretty much ignores me whenever I see her. No.
Well, I've also been to festivals where it was made very clear by the director that at lunchtime, if there was already a teacher sitting at one table, another teacher could not sit. Like, basically, it really divided. There was like one teacher per table at the camp, and so that we were always mingling.
Very cool.
It's awesome. Very anti-dirty dancing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's other camps where it's like, yeah, it's normal that the teachers kind of end up, you know, gravitating towards each other because it's a reunion for us and we get to catch up and say hi, and we haven't seen them since the last festival. So there is that, and that's normal. And then you get to perform together and maybe back each other up during the show. So, but I think people understand that too. But I think that just being personable and available is another selling point.
So for starting off, what festivals would you suggest, like focusing in on?
I would say, probably the best way to do it is because for as far as not having the accommodation and travel be an issue is starting local.
Yeah.
Making that connection with, so you're in the LA area, so that would be the Los Angeles Ukulele Festival, Mitch Chang. Getting in touch with him, introducing yourself. It might mean inviting him out to lunch or something, or saying, hey, I've got a show, I'm going to give you a ticket, come out. It's something to get them on, on your radar, or put you on their radar. So kind of starting local. And then even in California, there's, festivals, San Francisco, and they're all over. So it's just kind of, they do book, pretty far in advance. And so sometimes it's just kind of like, even if you just kind of compiled together like a one sheet for yourself, like a photo, a bio. So I'm sorry, I have like so much information. Maybe we should talk outside of this podcast. But also, most of the festivals are fairly small. Like the Reno Ukulele Festival, which had its 10th anniversary this year, I think is like on the mainland, like the largest ukulele festival, and it had like 350 attendees for like a 4-day period. So you're looking at the average small festival anywhere between 75 and 200 people. So they're not huge events to begin with. They do have smaller budgets. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of bands.
Right. Yeah.
There is not the money to bring in bands into these festivals unless it's a really big show, but then they're going to bring in a really big artist who can bring in, as far as like, a household name who can, they're going to carry the weight of the festival. Right. Because they're performing there. I rarely, all my albums are produced with drums and bass. I rarely ever perform with a band, especially at a ukulele festival.
And so, a lot of these festivals are nonprofit. Even the Denver Denver Ukulele Festival, even though it's sponsored by the school, the school itself is a nonprofit. GNUF in the UK is a huge festival, relatively speaking, but it's all volunteer at the top. Mary Agnes and her crew are basically volunteers. Even though they have, a pretty significant budget and all that. So that's good and bad. The good news is that it's really about the love of ukulele that's driving them. It's not the profit motive, right? And so there's a lot of these small festivals all over the place. And that's the other cool thing is that, oh my gosh, I mean, basically every month there's at least one ukulele festival, if not more. In fact, I think nowadays there's like 2 or 3 at least.
Yeah, all over.
Yeah. And
the thing to then look at though with these ukulele festivals, so say you're at a festival with Abe Lagrimas. Well, hey, you then have a drummer. He's a drummer.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You're at a festival where there's maybe a connection with and they will probably have a upright bass player available to the performers, where the performers end up sharing a band.
Right. Yeah. Make sure you're at a festival with Aaron Kime because he's a great upright bass player.
Yeah, and they would love, and people would love, like, hey, if we were on a festival and you wanted backup harmonies and I'm there, I'd be like, I'll sing backup. I'll learn a couple of your songs.
Danielle does that too. Victoria is awesome. And
we all were traveling and bringing our bands. It's not feasible for the artist or the festival.
Totally.
So be kind of like be prepared if that's the road you want to go down. Be prepared that they are most likely going to be solo shows. I think like Leftover Cuties were able to come to Denver, but it is within a reasonable drive from LA.
Right.
And they drove, and then they drove back after the show.
And Reno is pretty. How far from LA is Reno?
I think it's like 8-hour drive.
Oh, is it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
you
that's
know, and then you get like, you know, there's Sarah and Craig, you know, and they're married now, so they have that kind of the bonus that they you know, they're hired together at festivals. They're kind of getting a male female, you know, as far as they're getting two teachers, but they're getting one performance because they perform together. But I've also, now that I've recently been married, but I married a guitar player, and Jack and I occasionally get to play together, very rarely on the large scheme of things. But I've had directors of festivals say specifically to me, just like, we hope that you're not going to be one of those people that have to come as a couple, as a performer couple, because it makes it really hard for us financially to bring you in, you know, versus they're bringing in just the one act, two people, or can they split that between two separate acts and then diversify the festival? So I will always show up by myself if that's what is asked. You know, if that's what it calls for, no problem.
So there's, I think there's a lot of resources also out there. So there's Heidi Swedberg. She's pretty seasoned, I think. Wouldn't you say, Victoria?
Yeah.
And Victoria, you're living in.
She and Daniel go together, and then there's events that they do separate.
Right.
And you just kind of have to do whatever's needed.
Yeah.
For the
So
festival.
find a good mentor, maybe, and that would be good to, you know, get the feel that you've already heard so much from Victoria. Which, by the way, Victoria, aren't you in Costa Mesa nowadays? Is that where you're living?
Yeah, I'm living in Orange County, California.
Yeah. Hey, how's the are you guys being affected by the incredible
oh my God, no. I mean, that's more in Malibu. Lucy might be closer to that than me.
Yeah.
It's just been really sad because everyone knows someone who's been affected by it. But it's just, the smoke was bad for a few days, and it's cleared up now. But
okay, so you guys are safe.
Yeah.
All right, good to hear. All right, wow, we've been on the air for a while, and I think I'm pretty much. I guess the other thing I was going to say, if you want bonus topic, how do we encourage diversity, and has the Me Too movement helped out in any way in terms of getting more female artists on the tickets? I don't know. So let's go to the first diversity. You want to any thoughts on that? I mean, you know, it's as
far as like on a performance,
I guess getting more people
level,
just festival. You know, I have to say, I think the ukulele circuit is pretty diverse in general.
I think it's diverse musically, as far as like stylistically of the music that's brought in. Like Lil Rev does his, you know, he's got a very niche music of, you know, old timey railroad songs. And, but he also is a songwriter and writes his own music and poetry. And so, I mean, everyone kind of has their own thing. You know, I think, I feel like in the ukulele, I would agree with you, I guess, that in the uke circuit, it's pretty, you know, sometimes, you know, they'll be like, oh, there's only one girl on the whole bill. And I mean, I don't say anything, and maybe that's bad that I don't know.
I'm just blown away because whatever that, you know, because there's just so many artists to choose from. How the heck can you only have one female artist on the bill? Anyway, so I don't think you have to worry about that at the Denver Ukulele Festival. It always seems. I mean,
I've been the one female on the lineup at many ukulele festival, and I feel like me being there is just enough. You know, and that I'm up there by myself, that I don't have men backing me up. And so I feel like that's a very powerful statement. But it is, you know, you can try to just promote other female, you know, promoting other female ukulele player artists would be a way to kind of share the love and,
Yeah.
you know.
So Doug and I will be putting Lucy's name into the Denver Ukulele Festival. Oh, who's it? Lucy, I think I sent you the name of the contact at the Denver Ukulele Festival. Probably they've already booked up this year, but definitely put your name in the hat, and Doug and I will, for whatever influence we have, we'll put your name in the hat there too.
Yeah, I know they book so far out, so I always miss it. That's why I was like, oh, I gotta find out more about this.
Yeah,
but I really feel that if you compiled a list of workshops that you are comfortable giving, that would probably be a huge selling point for you.
Yeah, that sounds fun too. I'm gonna have fun making that list.
cool.
And it could be anything, like you know, Nicole Kime from the Quiet American. I mean, when she comes to the festivals, the workshop she offers is, you know, singing in harmony, or singing and playing together. So just kind of think of anything that you're good at musically that you could contribute, that maybe some of the attendees would gain something from.
I didn't know she taught harmony, because that's definitely something I could learn.
And I know Anne Janelle does that as well. Like when she comes to festivals with James.
Is that right? She does.
She'll teach harmony singing.
Oh, cool.
And, so just, you know, whatever it is, you know, and they're not usually there. I mean, well, Nicole plays ukulele, but you know, Anne Janelle is a cellist. So, but she's still at the ukulele festival, but offering something so that it strengthens their cell into to be brought into the festival. I mean, James is a pretty you know, easy way in, but you know, but whether they say, okay, well, do we have both of you, or you know, and I think now they pretty much exclusively travel together, but you know, 4 years ago that wasn't always the case.
Now, did they bring their kid too?
They have been, as far as the last time I've seen them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and Aaron and Nicole,
as well. Yeah.
He's a seasoned traveler. Oh my gosh, that kid is. He has so many aunts and uncles. He doesn't know what to do. All right. Well, let's wrap this up, because we've had a great show. I'm so happy to have Lucy LaForge, aka Lucy and Lemaire, back on the show from her European tour, and her blue hair, which we are missing to see, but maybe next time we'll have you on video. Lucy, you have a new EP out, is that right?
Oh no, it's in the works. It's gonna be coming.
Oh, it's in the works. Oh, sorry.
I'm home to record. Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck with that. Let us know when you have it. We'll put your website link in the show notes. Anything else you want to let us know that you're doing?
I am, well, just for the rest of the day, I'm going to be learning some ukulele holiday music. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. It is the season. So great to have you. And Victoria Vox. Hey, you know, Victoria, did I ever tell you? I didn't realize. I kind of maybe thought that it was Victoria Vox was a stage name, but for some reason I just thought, oh yeah, that's your real name, or you changed your name. I didn't really realize that was actually still just your
not my name.
I didn't realize that for the longest time. That's right. When we're talking about stage names, once I passed over you and you go, hey, wait a minute. I'm going, why? What?
I remember that.
So Victoria, what's going on?
Well, the Mouth Trumpet Christmas album, which there'll be maybe a little bit of ukulele on it, but mouth.
Oh, you're dropping out. Mostly mouth
there. And well, my new album Colorful Heart is still technically new, so that's been out. I've been wanting to do some music videos for that, so hopefully that'll come up this at the end of this year, early next year.
Excellent. And, that's awesome. It's a great album. You guys should check it out. Colorful Heart. Very neat graphics that you have in there, by the way. I love it how you kind of open it up, and it's multi-layered. So. And
I'll be on the cover of the UK Ukulele magazine for the December issue, so you can pre-order a copy at worldofukes.com.
Cool.
And I believe in the following issue, in the March issue, they'll be doing the review of the album, which is also on ukeplanet.com. But
Okay.
they had a really, really nice review of the record
Nice.
there.
Very cool. I think the OokTown Podcast has a record for the number of cover girls that we've had, ukulele cover girls we've had on the show. So there's got to be something in there. All right, cool. Doug,
Yes.
what's happening? Oh, wait, what was that?
I'm dropping out a whole bunch.
You're showing Lucy with her blue hair. That's cool. She's that was a rooftop something or other, right?
In Zurich.
Yeah, that was the Switzerland balcony TV.
Cool.
Yeah. So aloha.
Doug, what's going on with you? You just had the Denver ukulele community yesterday.
Yeah. I'm dropping in and out, so I think I've talked a bunch about that. So I think I'm all good. But yes, yeah, come to the Denver Uke community and the Denver Uke Fest. It's always a fun time.
Yeah, that's coming up. We should be hearing about that soon, I would think. I don't know if they've set the schedule yet. Oh, I'm sure they pretty much have. They're just confirming everything, I'm pretty sure. So hopefully that we'll have some fun artists and things. Always, we will have always. Did you have your share of mows yesterday?
I did indeed. Although I had to go back to work. We had monster trucks.
Oh, again, the monster trucks. Nice.
No, off there, but there were giant robot, like transforming robot monster trucks. It was awesome.
Are you kidding? Really? They had the transforming monster trucks.
Oh yeah. I'll send a link to it.
Okay, definitely.
To it in the show notes.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. It was great seeing you the other weekend, Doug, at the Maker Faire. Enjoyed it. Thanks for having me over there. And hopefully I'll see you soon in person. And we will on 3, as we do for every show. Let's say aloha. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Ready. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Victoria, are you still there? Okay, good. I didn't know if you dropped out. And we've been having but this weekend has been like internet slowdown or something. I don't know what's going on with the internet. All right, so let's just say aloha on 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. Great. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yay! Have a great holiday. Have a great Thanksgiving. Talk to you later. Bye.